Meeting of Consolidated Commission on Utilities. I have 5:32 on my watch. Try to start at time. For the record, those present are myself, Commissioner Michael Limchaco, Commissioner Simon Sanchez, Commissioner Francis Santos, and Commissioner Julie Guthers. Everybody's here. First order of business is approval of minutes. Their motion? So move. Second? Second. This is for the minutes of April 28th, right? Okay. No further discussion, subject to written correction. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimous. We are going to start with the GWA portion of the meeting first. So the GM report, we already gave us your report. Let's go straight to the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first resolution is 28 FY 2020, and this is relative to approval of an amendment for the indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity professional PMCM services contract with Brown and Caldwell. As the Commission is aware, we have 4 existing task orders that were authorized for several different project management assignments related to SRF grant projects on Route 4, Route 1, the CS down Southern Guam. And those 3 projects, 2 of those projects are running long, so we need an amendment to cover the additional project management. And the other one, the Route 1 project, is going to enter phase 2, so we will need additional manage that project, also grant. In addition, there was a previous authorization for the cost of service study that was required by the, for some reason, contingency amount for that was not authorized, so we're asking for authorization amount as we are planning it stages. Yeah. So the total amount that we're looking for, bring the total contract amount up to 1.7 million. So for the Route 4 task order, it would be an additional 49,000. For the Route 1 task order, it would be 200,000. This is for the phase 2 of the that sewer line project. And then for the the Southern SSES task order, that's an additional 87,000 for the construction of that pump station and force main. And then the 45,000 contingency for the authority of cost of study with by the PUC. We expect to have all these projects complete by 2021. And the funding for the Route 4, Route 1, and SSES project, SRF.
Is there a motion?
We'll move this year.
We'll move. Is there a second? Second, Commissioner Sanchez. Any further discussion? No? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimous. Next,
Mr. Chair, is Resolution 29, FY 2020, and this is authorizing us to use the additional proceeds from our Series 2020A bond issuance. As you know, we had tremendous interest, and we came up with $14.6 million more in the construction fund than we had originally projected. We've provided how we intend to distribute those funds over the projects identified in the capital improvement program, and to also make up the shortfall for revenue funded CIP amounts, some of those projects in the overall CIP. So we're seeking your approval to use funds and then to petition the PUC.
total is about 14.6 million, right?
That's correct.
Move to approve this.
Motion to approve. Is there a
Second.
second, Commissioner? Any further discussion? No further discussion. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carried. Order of business. Mr. Bordalio, do you have anything that you need to bring before us now, or unless there's any questions on the GWA financials? Yeah.
I have one.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Danny, this idea, are people beginning to respond to the payment plans that we have offered to assist people to catch up on their water and waste?
I'll ask our AGMA.
Thank you.
That
So since we launched last Wednesday, in a total of 119 entered into, 80% of those are residential, 20% commercial. The actual numbers are 110 residential, 9 commercials. The average monthly payment for the residential is $190.33. That would be inclusive of their existing months. For the businesses, the average $500.
Commissioner Jim Chaco?
And Miguel, what's the total number of individual ratepayers that are outstanding right now? That 100 and some seems quite low. So we're roughly a week into it since we announced the we made the passed the resolution.
Okay. Could you circulate an email to the commissioners? Okay. Give us an idea. Is there any other business?
One
Go ahead.
point. Okay.
Commissioner.
I think we need more publicity about the payment plan between now and the end of the month. You know, because we have a deadline, right? And so we need to get this information out more to the public, so they know they can come and work into the payment plan. They have to put a lot of effort.
Commissioner Sanchez is always saying there's never too much publicity or too much
So
notice.
we do have newspaper ads that'll be running for the next every other day starting tomorrow.
Good.
And then we have lots of ads running on social media, Google ads and Facebook, Instagram.
Great.
Telling them who to call, when to call, right? Okay.
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez.
And this is very minor. I was able to see the print ad with the help of Yaco, GPA side. It speaks to both utilities. And there was just a change in emphasis in the print ad. Print ad that you'll see, I was very happy with it. I thought the job in designing it. But it started with disconnections start July 1st. Right? And even if you're running ads tomorrow and all that, July 1st is 5 days from now. So I was working it with Tiaco on the GPA side. She was able with her team, and said she was in communication with you, to flip it where it's really a very nice ad. It says, we understand. It says, please come in July. We encourage you to come in and we say disconnections will begin in July. Please come in. We removed the de-emphasize, and actually just changed the words about July 1st. Because if you read that ad,
Then you're gonna scare
you got
off.
4 days to get in here or else, right? That wasn't the tone of neither management's goal or the commission. So the corrected ad, Tracy, let me know if I understand. The corrected ad that I think is running in the print media, which refers to both, begins with a very good message and encourages, and it just says disconnections will begin in July. Please come in and make an arrangement with you. On the GWA website, old ad starts with disconnections start July 1. I think in PC felt better that we said disconnections begin in July, because my vision is either GWA with Gail or Damon or John Ian disconnecting thousands of people next. When's
July 1st.
Monday. And yet, the way the ad originally read, so the ads are good, but I noticed on our GWA website, we have the
July 1st is
old ad where it just starts, disconnections start July. The emphasis now is please come in, because this in July, but not please come in and work out a plan. And apparently that part is working just from our word of mouth. believe the corrected ad de-emphasizes July 1st, says they'll begin in July, which we've not heard from either manager that on July 1st, the one that's delinquent is going to be discounted. That from either manager. Was that the heard from management of their approach? But the way the ad read, it really made it hard.
Scare people.
It made, and so all I'm requesting is, if I think the version of the ad that you're actually going to run is a little softer and a little more. Disconnections will start in July. At least we can put that ad in the GWA Facebook. I saw some very positive reactions to it anyway. And that people say, I mean, they're having a little trouble reaching us, but the ones that reach us are very happy that we've at least extended this. Good intent with perhaps just changing the way the read. For the GWA website, put in the revised ad version instead of the a little better received.
By the way, July 1 is Wednesday.
From tomorrow.
Right. So the way the ad read initially
Yeah.
was, these two GMs were disconnecting people next Wednesday. I did not hear from them. Their plan was Wednesday, particularly when Yale has to send a team out. An event, he just starts flicking switch. I did not hear from either of you that plan was to work with our. It's very subtle. The ads are going to be good, but if we could just put
I
the
knew we
ad
were
in
going
the
to get something
GWA
like this
website.
from
Chris,
senators.
Miguel,
Or,
that's okay with you?
we already made our.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
Is there any other questions for GWA?
Just one.
Commissioner Taco.
So on the regarding collections on the large government entities, how are we doing on?
Going back to the outstanding receivables, Schedule 8 have a list of accounts by bill amount. I want to see that broken up. See that, and then there's a section on
We're on Schedule H. Okay. Yeah. Specific, just a breakdown. We know typically who our main offenders are, right? But they make up 19% of the total outstanding.
the government.
Yeah, but not. Yeah, 19% of the entire receivables, aging receivables.
And if you go to Schedule G, it has a breakdown of what's outstanding. We did just receive a POE of a little bit over the hospital.
Okay.
Government agency. I think we also we did get a
So you said 200 some?
over 107.
So roughly $750,000
Right.
aging.
So we'll continue to.
The only other thing on that page I noticed, you're still working with the airport authority to resolve that continuing. This was pre-COVID. I just want to make sure people understand. Okay. DWA, thank you very much. Before you leave, Commissioner Sanchez, you
Yes,
had a
Mr.
question?
Chairman, just for the record, I believe the CFO presented at the work session the results of financial results. Just want to point the public summary 155 of our write-up. Profitable. Have the ability because of the financial challenges. Ratepayers. I just want that record to cite that page. Absence. We did disclose it at our financial situation.
Thank you very much. Before we move on to TA, just some housekeeping stuff. Under other discussion, we had two items. One is a past action related to pay adjustment. This specifically was and for the commissioners information. Waiting on the audits from the OPA. Item under other rule, and I believe we're ready to give us, pardon, Commissioner
Sorry, Mr.
Sanchez.
Chairman, agenda item 5.1,
Past actions relative to past.
we're not taking action on it.
No, this had to deal with the COVID part, and OPA is doing an audit right now of the government of Guam, including GWA and GPA, and I thought it might be good to let the auditors do their audit first, and then we can talk about it. Did you want to say something?
Request a 5-minute recess.
Okay, you want it? Okay, 5-minute recess.
Meetings. These meetings. The meetings we are reenacting de novo are as follows. February 24th, 2015, November 24th, 2015, April 26th, 2016, and June 7th, 2016. The Commission had previously addressed other actions during a special meeting held February 11th. The Commission had previously addressed other similar actions de novo during a special meeting held February 11th, 2020, at the advice of our respective legal. The first order of business refers to the meeting of February 24th, 2015. In the meeting of February 24th, 2015, it appears the discussion of salary was made in open discussion after a discussion of salary in an executive session. To err on the side of caution, this commission will now address the hiring of Mark Miller as interim general manager, GWA, salary of $140,000. At that time, Tom Cruz, the acting manager for GWA. He was acting as an interim general manager. At that meeting, Mr. Cruz expressed hired return back to his original job as chief engineer, for which he is still employed. Based on his desire to vacate the manager position at GWA, the commission at that time felt it was absolutely necessary to place general manager to set a salary. That acting general manager was Miller. Salary was set. That salary was discussed in executive session, but it was also discussed in open session. However, to err on the side of caution, the commission now should address this issue as we had. Salary at the time for Mr. Miller was commensurate with stateside combined water and wastewater value and sales range of WA. Therefore, I now make a motion to hire Mark Miller, $140,000 per annum, effective February 25th, 2015, position of interim general manager, Guam Water Works.
Is there a second? Any further discussion? Commissioner Unchaco.
Mr. Chair, previous to our other de novo meetings where we discussed the de novo, I as a commissioner was not present during any of these meetings. I know that the attempt is to reconstruct as to the best extent as possible that meeting that was back in February 2015. I do have one question though regarding this. Currently, the Mark Miller issue that has been brought up currently under suit.
No, is this the one that's under suit?
There is litigation. There is litigation on this.
On this one? It is.
You are comfortable legal position with taking de novo actions in these matters,
Including
this
this
matter.
So, Mr. Chair, I do say a thing.
Sure. And me too. You weren't here. With that, if there's no further discussion, if there's a motion on the floor, duly seconded. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Indicate that there are 3 people who raise their right hand. Sanchez. Thank you. Motion carries. Commissioner Sanchez, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. In a meeting of November 24th, 2015, it appears the discussion of salary was made in open discussion after a discussion in a preceding executive session. The Commission addressed this case, formal hiring of Miguel Bordallo as the general manager of GWA, and in the interim, the hiring of Greg Cruz as interim general manager of GWA, and Gilda Mopnis as the acting CFO of GWA. To err on the side of caution, the Commission will now address the hiring of Miguel Bordallo as general manager of GWA, the salary of $175,000. Salary at the time was commensurate with stateside combined water and wastewater companies in the value and sales range of GWA, and in reality is a little on the low side. I now hereby make the following motion. I move to hire Miguel Bordallo at $175,000 per annum, effective January 4th, 2015, for the position of general manager for Guam.
Second. Any further discussion? No discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Unanimous? Thank you. Next.
To err on the side of caution, the Commission will now address the hiring of Greg Cruz as interim general manager of GWA, salary of $140,000, and this time it is in November of 2015. Salary of $140,000, Greg Cruz as general manager during the period in which Mr. Bordallo from temporary general managers, moving them from other management, working early, interim general manager. So I hereby move to hire Greg Cruz at $140,000 annum for the position of interim general manager for Guam Water Works Authority, effective November 25th, 2015.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Commissioner Mentel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Mr. Chair, could you help me just read the circumstances regarding Greg Cruz? Once again, these are the, and if I'm not mistaken, Commissioner Sanchez, both the Miguel Bradallo as general manager, Greg Cruz as interim general manager, and Gilda Mock, CFO. The main issue that we're trying to correct through these de novo votes are the fact that the salaries were both discussed in executive session and open. So no other circumstances regarding the hiring of these three individuals for those positions was ever under dispute. It was just the issue regarding question.
Correct.
The procedural issue.
Correct. To follow the chronology, Mr. Miller took the place of Mr. Cruz in February of 2015, but in November of 2015, Cruz took the place of Mr. Miller, then also had to move office assistant CFO into full CFO since Cruz was moving. We had a number of interest. So you saw we're basically ratifying interim general manager starting in February of 2015 all the way through November. To replicate the obvious decision.
I think we
Needed to replace Mr. Cruz, who wanted to go there. We then needed to replace Mr. Miller, who was departing. Mr. Cruz, replace Mr. Miller, and move office. Take the place of Mr. Cruz as CFO. Then in January of 2016,
Okay, there's no further discussion? Call for the question? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Unanimous? Okay, Commissioner Sanchez, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. To err on the side of caution, the Commission will now address the hiring of Gilda Mock, CFO of GWA, at the salary of $111,000. Salary at the time was commensurate with stateside combined water and wastewater companies in the value and sales range of GWA. So therefore, I move that the Commission move to hire Gilda Mock, $111,709 per annum, position of CFO, Water Works Authority, effective November 20.
Second.
In a meeting of April 26, 2016, it appears the discussion of severance pay was made in open session after a discussion executive. To err on the side of caution, the Commission will address the end of paid services for Sam Taylor, WA Legal Counsel, of April 30th, 2016, and additional payment of $10,000 severance pay contingent upon release of all claims against WA, which did agree. I hereby move to pay Sam Taylor, former GWA legal $10,000 contingent upon.
Second.
Commissioner Sanchez? Question? Commissioner Mentel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If we can get legal counsel to opine on whether or not ECU has the ability.
This is more along the lines of claim. Commissioner
This is a good example. Pleasure. Right, it was agreed. Can add.
But is there anywhere that grants the commission the authority to issue severance pay, or was it part of his contract?
I don't believe he had, yeah, I don't believe he had a contract because he was already an existing employee when the. But he fell under the purview of certain employees of the commission serve at the pleasure. Pay is set by the pay was in exchange for there was use of any.
So, Mr. Chair, I know the attempt is one to reconstruct the,
Correct the procedure error.
but also to reconstruct the meeting that addressed. I mean, I was not present. I don't think my questions have been adequately answered.
Okay. There's no further discussion. All those in favor, raise your right hand. So that the record shows 3 votes. Abstention by. Okay, Commissioner Sanchez, you still have.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A meeting of June 7th, 2016, it appears the discussion of salary was made in open session after a discussion in executive. Err on the side of caution, the Commission will now address the hiring of Kelly Clark, legal counsel of WA. Give a 15. Salary at the time was commenced stateside and water and waste value and sales range of WA. Hereby move to hire Kelly Clark, $150,000 position of legal Guam Water Works effective June.
June 7th.
My apologies. Correction. Then the motion effective June 7th, 2016.
Second? Second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, just to be clear again, what I'm reading says it appears the discussion of salary was made in open discussion after the executive session. So just to be clear again, it was discussed in executive session, but also discussed in open session.
Further discussion? No? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Unanimous.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioners,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
go down to further discussion before we get to the end. And that's the full CC rule. Rules basically give us the version number. We've completely gone through this during the working. I'll let you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So over the course of the last 3 weeks, the Commission has met to go over the proposed rules that were drafted by the Rules Committee. There were several iterations and amendments to those rules, the last of which was a discussion on whether or not to allow for the inclusion of all performance evaluations in open session discussion. After us, so this was the last issue that we were on to formulate the rules, and basically outside counsel has come back and opined that under 5 GCA 43202, that the law actually requires the Commission to perform the performance evaluations of the 2 general managers of the utilities in open session. It also requires us to publish those evaluations and perform them annually. There was some healthy discussion on whether or not the CFOs, legal counsel, and the DCU secretary should be added to that, to the open discussion of performance evaluations, and the commission determined that that because it's not specifically cited in the law, as are the GMs, that we had amended the law to, we had amended the rules to request permission from the CFOs, legal counsels, after their performance evaluations have been done in executive. So we will perform the CFOs, legal counsel, and the CCU secretary's performance evaluation in executive session. At that point, we will request permission of those individuals to close those performance evaluations. And the root of that that request is to make sure that, if there is any sort of pay increase, pay decrease, there's some substantial information tied to why those increases or decreases voted on by the commission. However, for those positions, they can allow for the disclosure of those performance evaluations, but the general managers will comply with the law as it exists, and those will have to be done in the session. So with that, we have completed the roles. We have performance evaluation template for 6 out of the 7. We still need to develop one for the GWA general manager, but I believe that we're ready to entertain a motion. So having said that, I'd like to motion that we adopt the Guam Consolidated Commission on Utilities Standing Rules, version R7, as discussed in work.
Second. On the motion. Chairman first. Commissioner for all this effort and leadership. Now, 7 to help. Personally feel that rules, model rules, interest all the boards and rules such as this anywhere, any board, observable. So I really think, most of all, I think these rules ensure people speak to good government. With that, join us together, analyze, put them in.
Same note, I want great. As a board, once approved, it is posted. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion. No. Okay. Now,
Like
GPA.
Constitution.
John B. Let's go.
All right, thank you, Mr.
Go straight to your resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Resolution 2020-13, that's relative to the award of the performance management contract for Cavers 1 and 2 to Taiwan Electric and Mechanical Engineering Services, that are known. Again, the TEMIS contract has been extended several times, and actually the last extension was by the that extended it 20, and which is us, we did go off bid under IFB 035-20. The contract received 1 bid, and that was TEMIS, the qualified and responsive bidder. And then we have a total 3-year base period period, 3-year base period, the sum of annual management fee and O&M budget provided by GPA is totaling $9,969,188 million dollars, including again cost of inventory, other repairs, CIP, and the actual cost that actually gets budgeted in the year determined necessary. And so with that, asking the Commission to award the contract, and again, all of that 5.919188 is annual management fee. 4,050,000 is really the budget, O&M budget. If up to that amount, if not extended, of course, not paid out again, including the inventory. Again, first, very glad the chemists did in fact come in and help us fight this critical period, helping us keep that.
Through this,
Second.
all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. GPA Resolution 2020-14 provided. And this is relative to authorizing the Guam Power Authority to retire 9 those this year 60 megawatt installed capacity renewable energy. And the last work session, I did a presentation on why recommended the unit, the additional renewable energy. Subsequent to that, Mr. Donald, MEC, some comments, of which I put together. So I know the chair asked that Mr. Renu go ahead and present his points on the presentation, and then after that, I would like to go ahead and hear some answers for the his comment. Make that any other.
Yeah, I think we went through the presentation that your thought is
Right.
Go
I
ahead
have
and-
this here, and you can explain what his thoughts are. Then there, I have my.
Yeah, you need to get a microphone.
I'll give him mine, Mr. Chairman. I need to get to dinner.
Sure. You're, thank you.
And Reno, we have the no way up. Right. The other one.
partners of good relationship. And the best. And public players, community. The reason why I'm here.
Could I just, excuse me, could I just please have you introduce yourself, the company that you're with, and because for some of us that may not know you, we just want to understand, and for those that are listening to the meeting, they want to understand who you are, what business you represent, and why you're here tonight.
What we actually did is happy birthday. That's the underlying reasons about the now. What I did here is I printed it on a big paper because very old, I couldn't see. So I also want to discuss the most important two items here. Those things were about almost 180 to $200 million off. Carrying okay, carrying LEC numbers here. As you can see here, on the there's an LEC number, there's a DBA numbers in there. Okay, so let's start with item number 1. ULSD conversion capital investments. We are helping DBA regard to solutions, consent between requirements in there. Initial number of 20,645,000, which is numbers, should requested additional disbursement and placement of cartridges. That's the reason why it's 20,645,000. Now, pretty easy. That easy work on the intermediate goal. Don't need any of those replacements over 20 years. Especially if NBC is only getting around 1,200 hours a year. What we did there is spoke to DWSC to the number went down by $15.7 million in there. Now, number to comply the requirements of the consent. So we're just helping DPA facilitate there's a solutions to the requirements of the. As we normally do, we try to provide savings and benefits today. We're going to manage this thing. We're hoping lower quarter up to around 14.5. Let's see requirements in there, right? So, but that requirements from NBC is undated requirements from USA. So happen and contract needs to be placed on. Okay. Now, go to important items here. saying non-fuel, $17.5 million US dollars. Or, if not, is the 58 line. They're comparing it on the $5.5 million US dollars. Greco. Okay, so they're saying, hey, Greco, work with the Greco, we're gonna be cheaper by $12 million US dollars a year. Okay? When you look at the left side, this number, they're showing totally different numbers there. MEC's non-fuel for an apple-to-apple comparison, 42 megawatts PT, 40 megawatts at Greco, you have a contract in place with the a contract. So this one is tied up by this contract in there. We are only showing $3.6 million per year. PDA is showing 17.5. So what we did is try to understand where that number came from. Okay? There were a lot of advancements on the section of the PDA. I have to go through every one of them. What we found out is there's two components in there. One is a $3 million US fixed deposit fee here, and an on fee of 14.5 per year. There was another reference in there. Based on the 88 megawatt, 160 million 704 megawatt hour. And it's very, very specific, the number coming from DPA. The fixed on them is 10,069,381. The variable on them is 5,041,985. So we're trying to figure out where the number came from there. The number needs to be updated in there because these are the numbers before we did the year start over in there. So 2018, 2017, EPA is paying us more because we haven't turned over the project yet. So this number basically tied up the old contract. So I think there were confusions when we turned over the project January 19, totally revised the fee, drastically lower. Right? So that's the reason why the fee, as per contract, is 3.6. There's no basis whatsoever on that 17.5. No, it's not related to any contract in there. And it just ballpark number with no details when you look at the assumptions. Right? So, maybe when you try to analyze, using a number not tied up to any contract. There's no contract there. The DPA number is just supported by any contract at all. When you look at our contract, very, very clear, very, very specific in there. We receive two kinds of fixed order, variable order. Right? What's order? Essentially, contracted capacity. Every year, we nominate the DPA. Okay, DPA, you don't have a hobby yet. Probably need to run a supermax, 110% capacity. We need to probe it to DPA, so they will pay us fixed on them on that tested capacity. Variable on them is whatever we produce. Right? So, whatever we produce, DPA pay us. Almost like equivalent to energy fee. And so, when you look at 2020 current entities, we are producing around 600 gigawatt hour. Numbers are very accurate there. Our
Now, there's no reason whatsoever about that 14.5 that illegal. Where did the number came from? 14.5, which is saying, would not supply Guam, Saipan, and all the islands here, just to get paid 14.5. There's no way. So it's not based on anything. Just number, and we are assuming there was an oversight that maybe the modeling of GPA forgot that there was a change. The ECA starting January 2009. When we turned over the project, the prices went down big time. Okay. So, when you look at the references in here, when who is available, right? So, there's two options in there. They want us to be on apple-to-apple comparison with Agreco because Agreco only have 40. Now the unit, one unit at 42. How much is gonna cost you for variable O&M? 254,000 US dollars a year versus 14,500,000 that EPA is using here. Okay. Now, fixed O&M component is 431 as compared to EPA of 3. Okay. EPA using their assumptions as 660 kilowatt hour of productions, even though the instruction is very clear not to go over 100 gigawatt hours when although in operations. We're not going to produce the requirements. The model is 180 gigawatt hours in there, right? So something is very wrong. Now you have option 2. Want us to run 2 of the units, they negotiate the contracted capacity for the 2 units, but they only run 103 million kilowatt hours. The fixed O&M goes up by 6.5, and then variable again is 254. Right? So then that tied up to real contract, signed a contract obligations with GPA. And these are real numbers. Now, compared to Agreco, and the second page, you'll see the details. There are 2 of these contracts in there. Right? Agreco page using the numbers again, not based on anything, right? We're saying, okay, let's do a 2 million for Agreco, it's 2 million OMP at 3.5. There's no basis for that. But you do have an existing contract with Agreco there. You are paying Agreco $9.6 million US dollars a year to run the Agreco units. So then it's signed up to a contract. These numbers are very accurate based on contract that EPA has of these PMC providers there. By the way, I'm also the local agent of Agreco, so I should know, right? Because I represent Agreco, I represent both NEC and Agreco in there. So I know the numbers of both projects in there. Because I'm actively involved, right? So EPA, the right side is saying, okay, if Agreco gonna say nominal for 15 years, 138,570 US dollars. This is not true. There's no basis for that. 17.5 and 5.5 has no basis whatsoever there. Come out with a savings of 158. Contracts, those numbers are, that's not any basis whatsoever there, right? Now, when you go to the left side, these NEC numbers are
contract with the record there. And we're cheaper on the fuel there. So here, totally the opposite. If you use pennies, saving $130 million more. Because we're more efficient and we're absolutely cheaper. 17.5 versus 3.6 based on the 14 megawatts comparison. Now, further down, you'll see more numbers in there. Other costs for consideration. Bravo will need to spend $12 million next year to their major overhaul. That included in the stations of DTA last week. But when you go through the details, you'll see there, it has to spend $12 million for what? Then, the record should be 5 more years. So every 5 years, you might end up spending $12 billion every 5 years. NEC, I think to extend it for 20 years, are only spending $15 million for 20 years. Right? So, there are numbers there gonna increase your cost. If the overhaul is only $600,000 for every 20,000 hours, that's a big difference versus overhaul of a grading there. Then look at the US EPA compliance there. At Greco uses urea for their catalyst chemicals. How much is that? You can see that on the second page. Around 380, and net 137,400. They're costing almost $90 million for the PT units will be using emulsifier that cost you $271,000. So 44,065. So now when you compare the 15 years nominal savings, continuing to use NEs would benefit the ratepayers savings of $146 for 15 years, as compared to running a regular there. It's totally the opposite, but the difference is ours is based on contract. Now, not really Greco, the 5.5 million, that's very easy, right? EPA has issued PNC for a Greco. Just wait for a couple of months for the results and you'll know how much is it. A Greco, for sure, they're not going to do it for 5.5. But they're doing it right now for 9.6. But if you have questions, 9.6 is probably high. That's no problem. You can wait for a couple of months. You know, that PNC. Actually, numbers
Just want to make sure that I'm understanding, or hopefully the commission is understanding your position. At a macro level, my understanding is GPA, John Beneventing GPA Management is recommending that they believe relying on the 41 megawatt RECO unit cost to have them available to us for and after the commissioning of the new plant coming in hopefully in the next few years, that it is, they believe it's better to invest ratepayer money in maintaining a Greco, begin to reduce the use of MEC, or now P 8 and 9. That's the basic argument. We all agree we need to back up Ukadu. We need to back up phase 1, 2, 3, and 4, coming phase 3, and the planned phase 4 renewables. When we put 4 phases of renewables with Ukadu, we have designed a energy solution that provides the lowest cost ratepayer. Only question becomes, what's the best way to back up Ukadu and renewable? Should we, in both cases, we own PD 8 and 9, we own the Agreco individual generator. Agreco can make 40 megawatt, MEC can make 80 megawatt, but we only really need the 40 megawatt, as we're using the phrase intermediate base, because the heavy lifting is going to be done by the new Ukadu plant. But wisely, I believe, EPA management recognizes there will be sometimes you're going to take down the Ukadu plant. You want to have a reliable backup. They are recommending that the 40 Agreco units be the backup. Now, I'm very, very happy that you're here, and I'm very happy John B is here. Worked with both of you for many, many years, and sort of chuckled when I saw the debate between two very good professionals. Most of the time, you two, in history, there's been a lot of, you've been a long-time partner at the recommendation of John Benavente, Ken Flores, so it's been a 20-year relationship, but now GPA has to make an important decision on behalf of ratepayers: cost and reliability. GPA management is recommending we Greco's 40 megawatt and retire MEC's 80 megawatt, because they believe it is expensive to keep MEC. I believe savings projected by that strategy about $130 million. Your testing, that calculation of the savings indeed is incorrect. That based on your numbers, instead of saving $140 million, we would be spending $130 million plus or minus instead of saving. So that's a $250 million difference of opinion, and it's very important to this body to make sure that we're making the best decision. That's Mr. Benavente's goal. Your goal, I don't test it, but it is unusual for the first time in my long history with both of you. You guys are off. Reasonable professionals can disagree, but when it's $270 million, we know, okay, something is definitely not matching up. And you have tried to present. You're now presenting why you believe GPA's numbers savings by going with Greco correct. Your analysis says it is cheap, in your view, to, instead of rely on the Greco 40 megawatt, cheaper for ratepayers, to invest in maintaining only 40 megawatts of the 80 megawatts that is available. Now GPA's PD 8 and 9. That's the basic. And then you've provided for detail. So I just wanted to kind of make sure I was understanding the issues at stake, because whether it's resolved tonight or not, there's a lot of numbers on both the GPA side, your side, and they're very far apart. So from our point of view, or at least from my point of view, I'd like to kind of figure out where's the difference. Why is it so significant when at least history has shown us reasonable professionals can disagree, and in your two particular history, I've never seen such a large disagreement in magnitude, right? And we have disagreement of savings versus cost, and then the magnitude of the savings significant. In effect, it's a $250 million swing, depending on which analysis you believe, and we four now have to make a decision as to which strategy is in the best interest ratepayers, we have a very strong recommendation for management. But at least at the surface, that's what we're debating, whether it's better to invest in, maintain a Greco's 40 units, which I believe is the heart of the recommendation, versus using the 80 megawatts, of which I believe, at least for, we both agree that the need for GPA is 40 megawatts, even though your plant produces 80 megawatts. Do you, but I think at least to compare apples to apples, and I appreciate it, at least my understanding, to compare apples to apples, while you can produce 80, I believe the need is firm 40, right? You have the flexibility of offering more than, but my understanding from GPA management is they only really need 40, and then the debate is which is the most cost-effective 40. So at least you agree that the problem we're trying to solve for is 40 megawatts, not 80 megawatts. Would you agree? John, I just want to make sure I'm understanding Mr. Manzano's presentation, right? My takeaway is that you do agree that while you can do 80, the policy question is, at least for 40 megawatts, which is the best way to go? So if you do, okay. So what? Okay, so what is your estimated cost, all in, of using the 40 megawatts from MEC, PD 8 and 9, instead of from a Greco? What is your estimated cost? Per year. Okay, all right, and then, all right, and GPA is saying it's going to cost 17.5 million. That's your understanding? Okay, I mean, there's a good example of, okay, there's 14 million a year of the $250 million difference of opinion, right? And again, I'm just trying to, I don't want to oversimplify, but I'm also trying to just simplify it. So the biggest differential begins with, you're saying the cost that GPA is using to estimate the operation of MEC 8 and 9 is overstated. You're saying it's not 17.5. And over 15 years, 14 times 15 is 210 of your $250 million difference of opinion. So the meat of the difference is in the cost of running MEC versus, and you and GPA just have totally different numbers. You're saying it's contractually limited. GPA is saying, well, I'll allow John to speak for himself in a second. Just want to make sure I'm understanding that almost the biggest part of your argument is just, what will it cost to have MEC provide 40 megawatt versus a Greco? And your biggest differential is you disagree with the representation by GPA that it will cost 17.5 million a year to run, and you believe, and that's it. Okay. And then did you have a chance to speak to Mr. Beneventi on this? So you haven't had a chance. So, all right. So, I mean, obviously we want John allowed to, and but the biggest single source of difference is the annual cost for MEC 8 and 9. You're saying 3.7 versus 17. The fact that we're going to have to, it seems to me, if I go to the top line, there's agreement that somewhere between if you're gonna keep MEC 8 and 9, you gotta put 15 million in. You're gonna keep Agreco, you gotta put 20 million in. So there's only a $5 million difference in that number. I understanding that right, but instead of 20.6. Okay, but in our aggregate difference of opinion, that's only a $5 million difference of opinion. The real meat and potatoes is the question of whether it's going to cost 17.5 versus 3.7 if MEC provided the backup 40 megs versus Agreco's. That's really the heart of the argument. All right, I just wanted to make sure I got that piece. I know there's a lot of other detail, but at least I think, John, if you, obviously present as you wish, but
Thank you. Well, like was running like anyone. $8 or $9 heavy oil. Don't understand that. We all understand that there's a paradigm shift. No longer based and more based. Yeah, there's no way. What we're talking about one set of base, well, we're renewable. You can those units. Why we always hold them where they are, and that's why we have the light outages and has a much that there's legislation. The legislation that passed to 100% target. Therefore, yeah, what would our generation look like? The least. I've been also recently is that they have that now is a nation. Therefore, with all of those things, our plans are going to happen. With USC almost. Next ones are our first target. Our other units that all of these units, the IRP was going to come up with whatever there are some deadlines. That's where we are today. What I like to do is concerns, which I said my first. The presentation always would like to do it again start with this like first is close to 100, but that's given us then here time with all RFO by December. Okay. Question is, what is a Greco? Yes, there's a contract for a Greco and January 20. Don't forget. The
Sorry, John, which contract ends? Greco or MEC?
Greco.
Greco.
January. We let's compare the prices. Let's like this. One is for the
I'm sorry, John, and we pay that to a Greco or
yes.
is that the contract that ends January?
And that's
Next
a
thing is look versus labor. There's large contract that we're paying in 2019. Then rent to own. So but that's it. Then we have energy conversion lubrication. 127 million. Twenty 2022. Whoever contract is no longer here's the listen to that. And go on. I didn't know what. I don't expect higher than this because let us count. Therefore, what's more higher than that? And so here, who's correct? Therefore, that 5.5 is about 2.11 million in one time. We're not going to overhaul all the units based on the operating hours. Go down here, have all the hours. Just that I tested. That are years over a 5-year period. Year 5. Again, this because again the limit.
Thank you, JB. So just to, and Mr. Renzano, if you can also agree. So your numbers disputed the 5.5 million that GPA was representing. Your number is at 9.6. Are you now on agreement that the number is 5.5? So the numbers that are, so John, JB, what is your response then? What do you foresee the capacity charge it being, or have you accounted for it?
Why would I pay a capacity? Charge me power plant. That's in there. Plus any major
Mhm.
I guess true.
Well, just on that point though, because I mean, you guys know it so well, but sometimes you're already on line 8 and we're.
Okay.
So on the capacity charge, because that's a big number, that $7 million capacity charge is going away in 2023, but Mr. Manzano, you're saying it's not going away in okay,
But it's not necessary savings. All of these costs now are in the system. All I'm doing is like in terms of cost, what I'm going to show. So, but
John,
as far as what I think when the
make sure I'm following you. You think in well, it's now 2021. You're saying the 2019 cost $7 million. Saying the 2023 cost is zero, but what is your expectation? Do you see approval of the contract so you can put out the bid? When would you actually have a bid? 3 months? 12 months? So between now and by January, we would know whether it's 7 million or 0 million by 2020. The bid has to go. So how does that 7 million per year? With that, in other words, when you how long is the bid for? 6.9 million. Yeah. And I'm sorry.
Every year, FY 17, 16,
The
every
rental.
year the piece.
But that's what it's been. But now you're going to put out a new bid. We already own Greco. So it makes sense to me that, well, we shouldn't be paying a bank that. But if I heard Mr. Manzano correctly, I misunderstood, saying that it's quite possible that in the bid, bidder could propose, whatever they want to call it, a fixed charge that has been in the old contract before we owned a Greco. Now, you're saying it won't be in the new bid. Mr. Donald saying there may be in the new bid. Is there? Right. So my question is, my dumb question is there a benefit to EPA ratepayers waiting to see the bid to see whether you get a capacity charge of 0 or 7 million? Because that's a big.
No, there's no benefit.
Okay, if you can show that, speak to that.
There's a lot of reasons that make me recommend area 8 and 9, and I will just the savings as part of it. There are other.
Right. But a big piece of the Greco cost of the 12.2 million, 7 of it is that one number, right?
And that's
and of the 5.5 million, 0 is the number, right? If it's not 0, then we would have to add it to the 5. If the winning bid has capacity.
There's 2.2.
Yep.
That's the.
Right, I'm not questioning that.
No. I have a contract with somebody that has a. Or is needing any. The labor.
So correct me if I'm wrong, John. You believe the 2.2 million overhauls works sort of as the equivalent, a fixed charge that would be incurred because we're going to incur because we're going to overhaul over time. I understand that you wouldn't do all 40, spread it out, but there is going to be some cost to overhaul those units. You are estimating that 2.2 million, and you're also estimating that you expect in the bids, being soon, that no bidder would charge capacity. Then, if you don't mind, Mr. Manzano, you think a bidder might charge a capacity charge, and why would they do that if we already own? So that's not the number. But can you speak to the 6.97? Because if I understood you right, you're not contesting any other number, right? The 2 million in overhaul, you get the same math as Mr. Beneventi, depending on just how long you take to do it, right? The average is the 2 million, right? So can you speak to Mr. Beneventi believes there will be no $7 million annual. 7 million. Okay, so
What he's saying is he doesn't know.
So what would be your number? What would you estimate? Okay, but I mean, right now we're talking about a difference of 12.3 going down to 5. I believe Mr. Menti is identifying as the new cost of having a Greco around. You're saying that 5.5 might be a little higher because there might be some capacity charge. If I heard you right, it didn't sound like you were saying it's going to be in the magnitude of 7. It might be a smaller number. There might be a number. Would it be in the magnitude of 7 million in your? We don't know who's going to bid, but what do you think? But the challenge is Mr. Beneventi had to estimate the capacity. He estimated it to be 0. You're telling, you believe in your opinion, there is going to be a number there. But you got to remember the board, the commission is trying to analyze the numbers, and our management is saying he believes that 6.9 million is going to go or approach 0. And that's an annual number, right? So 7 million a year makes a big difference in terms of whether it's a savings rate. You arguing that 0.979 million? Do you have an idea what that might be? Okay, let me ask you a different question. If you were in Mr. Beneventi's place, trying to estimate what would be your annual estimate, do you believe that a winning bidder will charge for 2 million, 1 million, 9 million, 8? Okay, so there is some savings. So you're both agreeing there's savings. You believe the savings is not as large as Mr. Beneventi by 4.8 million a year. Beneventi believes it's a savings of 6.9 million. But there is some number, right? You would agree with Mr. Beneventi. I'm sorry. Well, remember the 5.5 doesn't include a capacity. You're saying you believe the winning bidder was going to charge, the lowest bidder is still going to charge a capacity charge, and you're estimating that to be.
But why would they increase the fixed O&M if you have an entire history of fixed O&M? Are you saying that that difference would be margin? Profit? But that number already accounts for all the units for labor. So what are you saying, that you anticipate someone to mark it up that much? But this number already shows for the same number of units. What do you see? What do you anticipate would be such a vast difference that it would double? But it's the same number of units they're doing now at that fixed O&M, right? But that's what the other 2.2 million is accounting for. You know what? I think, Mr. Benavente, real quick, do you feel that you've properly accounted for all your costs in the 2023 model, that line item? You feel everything is accounted for in there?
I'm saying that it don't matter who it is. They better come in with some good numbers, otherwise something that's
Doing out.
so that leaders the number.
So, I'll make sure I understand you. You see the bids finally. You're gonna get to evaluate against EPA doing it. And that's why as you get out the numbers, call it O&M or thing is a go down, still going to go down, maybe not to zero. And Mr. Benavente, right? He believes it'll go down significantly because if it's not the number he's comfortable with, then he's willing to risk that let the EPA do it cost. Okay, so you don't, sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Mazzano, you don't believe the big difference has anything to do with the cost to run Recto, right? The big difference is, if I understand your presentation right, first off, it was you believe that saying it's 17.5 million fixed cost for GPA to pay MEC is incorrect. It's only 3.6 million. And that's the 14 million times 15 years. That's, I'm comfortable enough that this is not where the disagreement is. The disagreement here is plus or minus 2 million at this point, right? So can we get to the bigger contention by Mr. Manzano that instead of costing 17.5 million a year, it's only going to cost 3.7. If you can work your way there?
But you go to the now the there are about one machine what's a megawatts
Shaft
flaring
turning.
and tearing.
Shaft.
They're individual. So what this is of then when they get hired, you want really need them running at the same time, not overhaul. With the high hours, 25 to also say the units are very reliable. Running all this. But furthermore, you never lose.
John, thank you. I look at the bottom. Correct me if I'm not interpreting this. The capacity that we will need the most is 8.8 megawatts. That's the most hours. That energy you're going to be drawing. it could reach as many as 40, but the workhorse is 9, 9. Then depending on the real world, you could draw another 6, 6, you could draw another 14. But if I understood your argument last week and now, get to draw on a Greco on an as-needed basis only what you, versus when you're relying on a major baseload like MEC, you got two choices, 40 or 80, even though you might only need 8. You can only need 14, or you might not. And you're saying the least amount of times is when you're going to need 40 megawatts. So that's part of your challenge is if you only need 40 megawatts, few hours a year, and you're going to need 9 megawatts more hours, you're trading off the cost to access that 9 to 40 through a Greco versus 9 to 40 from an 80 megawatt plant. That's your 2 shafts versus your 40 shafts, only turning the shafts you need for the capacity to generate, whereas MEC plant would be having to run it under capacity. It can run at 40, it can run at 80, but 5,000 hours a year, you're only going to need 9 more. Another 4,000 a year, you're going to need 6 more. Another 3,000, it's going to take you, you're only going to need 40 megawatts for 400 hours a year. How many days is that? 100 days? You're only going to need 40 megawatts for 100, right? 2,400 divided by 24 is 100 days, right? Oh, that's per year. Oh, yeah, okay. So that's only like 200 hours a month. Isn't that right? 200 hours a month, you might need 40 meg, but for sure, you're going to need for 40 hours a month, you might need 9. So the question is, if I only need 9 megs supplemental, right? Is it cheaper for our ratepayers to access 9 megs through a Greco versus through MEC PD8 and 9? Is that the right way to? Am I understanding that right?
Saying that your maintenance costs really run these 8 units. All I'm saying is that historically this is it.
Donald, do you look at the bottom part of it? Do you believe that's a reasonable way of looking how often PA might need the renewables over a given year? 9 megs, most of it, if at all, then it creeps up. There's a possibility in any year that they might need. Do you think those are reasonable estimates of the hours per year of 9 to 40 megs needed? Why would you? How do you reconcile only needing 9 megs most of the year when you have an 80 meg facility? According to Mr. Benevento.
All I did was that now. Hours in the
Because my takeaway is we're not going to need 40 megawatts a lot. We're going to need 9 to 15 the most. In fact, 9 to 15 is 9,400 hours, which is 3 to 4 times more than you're going to need next 14 or 28. So, no, that's my layperson's wrestling is we and this is based on history, right, John? We clearly need most of the time we need load about 15 megs, 4,000, 4 to 5,000 hours a year. We don't need 40 megs, 4 to 5,000 hours a year. May need them 2,400 hours a year. But even then, you only need 28 megs per. So Rena, one of the things is out of the 14,400 hours that is projected a supplemental need, we're only going to need 29 megs. Right. And your plant makes 80 megs. Greco makes 40 megs. So, well, I know you both can run, but what I'm seeing is, I mean, gain weight, so I appreciate you. Sometimes you got to buy bigger pants to fit in a bigger waist, but what I'm seeing here is we rarely need a size 40 megawatt. We need a size 9 and 50. Most hours, 1,000. And the next 3,000, even then we don't need to go to 40. We go to 29 or 30. That is 13,000 of the 15,000. That's almost 80% of the time supplemental load is less than 8. Okay, so you agree with Mr. Beneventi on that analysis as to, because what I'm hearing from Mr. Beneventi is he's trying to figure out what's the most efficient mix of load given our historical need. He doesn't get the 40 megs until we get past 12, 14,000 hours a year of needing 9, 15, 29 megs. We don't, so now your 80's got to produce 9, 15, or 30 for most of the year. Rarely, very small part of the year is never be asked to fully blow it out. 40, and even then you've got 240. We own it, so that part's okay. Same as a Greco, right? We own both. So that's not the ownership charge is not. Yes, again, it seems to me, and maybe that's where we should turn the conversation. Not so much here, but this is important to illustrate how much supplemental load is needed. Neither of you are saying PPA is going to need 80 megs for 8,000 hours, 10,000 hours a year. If you agree with this analysis, Gonzalo, you're saying at the most it's going to need 40 megs is 2,400 hours a year. Well, yeah, we agree on that. The question is how to fill the shortage. Do you use a Greco to fill the shortage? Do you use MEC to fill the shortage? You're arguing that MEC is more cost effective, but the first thing I think we're establishing is how often will you need MEC? I'm sorry, how often will you need supplemental load, wherever it comes from?
I have something here that will help clarify.
Right. So, but it sounds like you both agree, Mr. Manzano, that the analysis provided by Mr. Bentley about incremental load hours per year is reasonable. I understand, but at least in that slide, and because really where I'm trying to get to is the biggest differential I saw in the presentations was the 3.6 versus the 17.6. And that's a big, 14 million a year is a big difference. Maybe John, if Mr. Manzano had a chance to speak to why he thinks it's 3.6, he could speak to why it's 17.
Slides here, and I think part of the basis much it costs based on our contract. Contract was also something
day.
I didn't know what, man. Go through, okay?
And these are historic, right? These are actual
This is
historic.
historical.
Okay.
I can go. So you extrapolate it to the O&M that's calculated. First you have 1 unit, 6.
I mean the insurance.
Right?
I mean the insurance and the loops.
This 7. Base load, well. Okay, so let's take a look at this number. First of all, let's talk about their availability and reliability of the machine. Now, I mean, I got nothing wrong. Eight and 9 in the past year. 10 days.
Lost.
Next on the sensor system. Again, that's the way the base loads serve and everything. Okay, that's
Was that because more than one unit went down at one
yeah,
time?
because if you're asking running 38 units.
Right.
One or
Megawatt or 2. 1 megawatt is just like a load coming into the system.
Right.
So look, well, maybe
5 to 15 units, more or less.
Of Greco.
How often did that happen? 5 to.
I've never said never, perhaps maybe.
Well, in the past, because this is historic, right? The 8 and 11. Historically, how many times have you lost 5 to 8?
That's why when you ever spool it, you can limit your availability.
From the Agrecos.
Again, it's not because of time is characteristic.
Separate units.
Yeah,
The
that's
reliability,
what it is.
basically, a single
That's
shaft,
the
2
reliability.
single shafts versus 40,
So what does that
40
mean?
shafts.
You have reliability like that. Trying to on a unit that's not have it in the room. Otherwise, only that when we put up the 198 megawatts. Budget number who is going to address. Number of units that we have in the system. Very cool. And 6 and 10 Joe. No more efficient than also counting it as it October. And very reliable as a machine. So, like the hey, here comes it. Don't lose half and then then dependables all the including MEC. That in a 9, 550. So if you take the largest unit, 35, let's see, is the combined cycle.
Bukudu plant.
Whenever you lose the combustion turbine, you're going to lose stems. That's your reserve. Therefore, what they only spring even with here. Megawatts of that 40 megawatts per that's in your work. Therefore, then I'm asking the go forward to get a 50. Then that means that we're going to need about 180 asking the commission that let's proceed with the first. Out of it, for 6. That again is gonna be energy. Therefore, you can serve a. What does that say? That says that we really have to help offset the cost of the new power plant intended to begin retiring with and based on this. Okay, let's take out. I am recommending. What do we have left? Motivation. Therefore, that gives you 198.84 to a capacity of 467. And that means if you take out the reserve,
A peak load. Peak
Yeah.
load.
we're at 250. 244 this year because last year we have 250.
I'm just making you show that peak demand capacity even after the 8 and 9 serve up to peak. Even though our historic peak right now is hovering in the 50s. So even with retiring of 89, you have a 86 meg serve against peak. Serve peak.
There's a worse of condition, meaning
Almost like you have, if I do the math right, you have 86 megs over peak demand, even after retiring peak 8 and 9, which is about a 25% of versus average.
and the way the renewables, new energy shift. What happens? Instead of 55, now you're 40 megawatts down to the capable that amount of conventional. Just be careful. Things higher load is conventional. Therefore, you got to plan on 70%.
Boy, you got plenty.
Always have enough. That's why the conventional buying more batteries. Not using it, you're not paying much.
Reviewed both proposals. The fuel savings was that you both agreed on that. And to me, that this about MEC 8 and 9, my layman's words, reliability point of view, have more units, smaller shafts that you can mix and match to fit event you fit. Either way, you got plenty above peak, but it seems to me from a reliability point of view, more flexibility in having multiple smaller units and 240 megawatts. That's your argument, right? So John, before you go, help me from a reliability point of view, why isn't that a good You would need 30 to 40 of them to fail, equate to failure of one of your. I guess what I'm hearing from John is the odds in history having 30 to 40 of those units all fail at the same time doesn't happen. I mean, yes, it could, but yes, your 40 megs can fail. I mean, we know 40 megs can fail whether it's one shaft or 40 shafts. From a reliability point of view, I think I understand is safer in an isolated grid, have more ways to squeeze out 40 megs, just 2 ways to squeeze out 40 megs. That it's more reliable to have the multiple units, even if they're not all running at 100% design factor. Well, on the fuel side, but but even then there was no disagreement that there's MEC does save some fuel, yes, but it's the other cost. In both your analysis, you're not arguing about the fuel savings. You're arguing about 3.6 versus 17.5. But part of the logic, if I understand Mr. Beneventi right, part of his logic is in his designing his overall solution of reliable energy available to ratepayers and the mix and match of which generators to include or not include. He's arguing he'd prefer more smaller units equaling so much output rather than 2 bigger units equaling similar output. Because when you lose 1 or 2 of the 2 large units, it's a big burp. And we're load shedding more significantly. We'd have to lose 40, 30 units all at the same time to equate to losing just 1 of your units. So it seems to me, and I'm a layperson, so I've got one of my favorite professionals saying he wants to err on having more shafts, more units available to meet load and lower the risk of any one unit failing, putting you into any kind of level of blackout or load shedding versus having just two generators available, and where any one of them failing, you put significant load at risk. So in terms of risk management, why would you prefer Guam, if you were John B., why would you want to have 2 units to rely on versus 30 or 40 units? Yeah, they're not all running at peak load, but they're also budgeting for overhauls, right? So you're going to get, if I understand it right, close to their rating, despite their age, by the money that you both agree you would invest in them. So help me understand that from your point of view. Don't need to run them alone. Well, plus we have MEC 8 and 9, which we don't need to run them because we have MEC 8 and 9. But the issue is once you have Ukudu, you still need MEC 8 and 9 versus the smaller array. And that's sort of that's appearing to be the debate. You're not contesting which. Correct. But we're not shutting down MEC till after Ukudu is up. So so the issue isn't, to me, the issue isn't what do we do between now and then. Nobody's shutting down. Keeping MEC PD8 and MEC 8 and 9, keeping all those units, right? It's the scenario with PD8 and 9, that third next to the last column on the right, the one in, right? That is our snapshot today. That's not going to change until Ukudu is turned on. Then when you turn on Ukudu, the question is, you can shed some generation capacity that is either less efficient, whether it's for fuel or for O&M and management worrying about. You want to pick the right ones to retire. And when Beneventi runs, he believes from a cost point of view, should be MEC, and you both disagree on whether it's 17 and a half or 3. I mean, it seems to me that that's where I buy the idea that I'd rather have more all things being equal, if costs were the same, I'd rather have 40 backup generators than 2 big ones, all costs being equal. But the argument that I heard you present is you believe EPA has overestimated the cost of keeping MEC. You believe it's only 3.7 million. They believe Beneventi came up with 17.5 million. That really is the only difference, right?
Same thing.
Right, but doesn't it go away if we don't have MEC 8 and 9? But that's, again, that's not in the 17.5 versus 3.6 anyway. What? No, insurance. And what do you think it's going to Okay, so what I'm hearing is there's 3 of the 14, but that's still an $11 million a year difference. Well, okay, so but at least for now, in terms of John, am I understanding your argument about the mix of the size of the generators, comparing the reliability of having multiple units versus 40 units versus 2 units? Mr. Manzano is arguing that I don't think anyone is arguing that MEC is more efficient collectively producing 40 or 80 megs, but once Ukudu is up, the history is saying we're not going to need 40 to 80 megs hardly ever. We're just going to need at most 40 megs, so we're already buying a bigger car at MEC at 80 when history is suggesting we're only going to need 40, and there is a cost to buying a bigger car than you need, right? Even if the 40 that we retain, if we were to buy Mr. Beneventi's argument, even if they're not as efficient, and the oil savings, you both agree, so that's not where the argument is. The argument is on the 17 and the 4. So that's that. Okay, so at least so far so good. We agree that there is logic in wanting more smaller units to protect reliability. There is logic to it, right? That versus two bigger units, right? Even you would agree with that.
Yeah. Yes. So
this is about
agree.
This is about after Ukudu.
Yes.
There's no disagreement about before Ukudu. Nobody's going anywhere.
So I think we've covered that completely. I think this next slide is the real one, the conversion cost.
And I need to go all the way through.
Go ahead, John.
Okay, I'll go. All right, revise, and again, these numbers came from Reno. Of course, I just added one less. Again,
Conversion
but
cost.
you're saying I don't need catalyst. Can I run that plan with all the catalysts if you have?
I'm sorry, is this annual cost or one-time cost?
This is a
This is a one-time. Okay.
Yeah.
This is the capital investment that we will have to get the.
To keep 8 and 9.
Correct, but is the difference between you and Mr. Manzano now 8 to 50? One time?
Yes.
Okay, so again, that's not the meat of the $200 million difference. So
Yeah, again, the emulsifier, I cut it down from 1 year to 6. Can help
Not where the fight is.
That's not where the thing is. I agree. But
let's
it
make
is,
some-
We know it's 15 to 20 million, no matter what.
Let's make some comparison of, you know, you know, mentioned earlier where you use the number, but showed you earlier what was must. Okay, so let's talk about all conversion. And let's place maintenance. We have about $5 million over 5 years. I think that is probably about half. There's about still about $8 million that we have. That we, that's 27 million that's up to investment that you. First get recouped, then there's 18 positive, then total investment of this.
Cheaper to invest in a.
Let me use 109 is
Recreation.
7109 is what you're saying 11, no? Talk about the annual record I showed you earlier. Therefore, you did I make much as I want to cut money, makes sense. Well, let's say you talk about these options, or you have we didn't go insurance, other stuff here. So therefore, that's 3.4. I got therefore basically that for the liability. I want to also that for this as I will show you, more renewables you add starts heading down to zero. Therefore, this saving starts not even count. That's relationship. Again, so you know, at least we're down to numbers here. 20 renewables. This need an or actually one. What happens there? Or that's why I'm asking for this anyway, because that's the only way you're gonna shave all in. That would be Therefore, the need, operating hours, of all these other. That's why this. That's. Again.
Red, orange, right on the left, load that piece.
Protected in Winu
Winu Ukudu is
That will
out,
be either
or the Greco. Someone has to fill in that orange load.
This is 14% of the system
That's estimated to be around 40 megas.
capacity.
That's estimated to be around
103 million. That's based on Reno's. Based on the curriculum.
you're using more of
To generate the.
going to walk us.
That's why the dollars in.
Then you're saying we add renewable 4
Goes
20s.
away.
That orange goes away. Stuck with cost. Deciding which you want to be stuck with. The mix of Greco plus all the other because our base load need is going down.
Based on you're gonna have is go back to the $7 million. Okay. This is the only way. They costing us $7.6 million. Don't need. Just need them for the one. Where they get it. By getting rid of the 7 million, you're saving other way to
Per
look
year,
at it.
per year.
7 million per year. The other way was just the first. To again look at
Using
I believe energy is good for 30.
Yeah.
Right size.
Have the flexibility
More
to pick
renewable.
off. You can
Always-
pick and choose which
Right.
capacity of with always stuck keeping 80 megs in reserve, so they're no longer really.
Not going to be generating much. Not really the. It's not just.
Size matters, actually.
Size
Your
matters.
reserve
And then we're
matters.
going to be reducing. Did a lot of conventional before because we have all these units, big units.
Mr. Sanchez.
No, so that makes sense to me as a late. I have rather have 40 baskets than all my eggs in 2 baskets. I have 40 baskets of varying sizes. I can select, future management can pick and choose the mix, which eggs take out of the basket. Right? Whereas, so why, if the load is going to go away as we add renewables, need for base load is going to be reduced. Oh, but phase 4 is our plan. So Reno, let me ask you, after we add phase 4 renewable, why would it be better to have 240 megawatt units as backup?
All the
40
others.
plus the other mix of units. But Reno, we're not going to turn on, if there's a delayed Ukudu, we're not shutting down any.
Yeah.
All right, so but you agree that there will come a time where we have way too much capacity. Whatever the mix is, whether we get it from 8 and 9 or the 50, 70 units that make up everything else, including the. Well, what I hear from Mr. Beneventi is he would like to still keep around 40 megs. Question is that should it be 88 and 9s, 80 megs running at half capacity, or the mix of all the various generators of which we only going to need 40 megs once it goes on. So yeah, whether they run as well, whether they run as efficient, we've got 60 units to provide 40 megs, varying efficiencies, but there's 60 units versus 2 units that we all agree, heard you say, you don't need 8 and 9 once Ukudu and phase 4 is up. Right. Wait, and you say, wait, major overhaul of Ukudu? We're going to need to do a major overhaul right after we build it? Yeah. Right, so that's in 2028. Corona is... But again, we're saying until Ukudu's turned off, nobody's going anywhere. Keeping everybody, right? But when Ukudu is turned on and you add phase 4 renewables, you eliminate, and you've agreed, you eliminate the need for intermediate base, right? Okay, so and it seems to me the 8 and 9 is the most efficient intermediate base load, but we're not going to need it after phase 4. Might be 5 years from now, 7 years from now, right?
No, but
right? So, okay, so we know past 2027, 2028, even you would agree, we may not need MEC 8 and 9. Right.
okay.
And would you agree it would be better, because we own both, but we don't need both. So even in 2027 or 2028, when phase 4, you're going to turn off some assets. Would you agree it doesn't make sense after phase 4 to, you had to pick between the mix or just PD 8 and 9 after phase 4 from a reliability. So PD 8 and 9 versus 2 shafts versus 20 or 30 shafts?
They have to come back.
I mean, 3 weeks to one, I mean, that's short though. Point is, it's short. It's not gonna take, it doesn't take them 2 years to do an overhaul of UPA. Right? So during that short period, again, we're gonna need to turn on something else, but what I'm hearing from Mr. Valenti is we have plenty of other things that nothing else because of the reliability factor of having 40 choices, 40 meg versus 2 choices. At least from a reliability point of view, from a risk, better for the whole system to have multiple shafts, 2 shafts. That's a given. I mean,
Reno, let me interject something real quick, because we're going around. Here's the problem, Reno. If we're going to spend the capital cost to convert 8 and 9, and you're saying in 5 years, 7 years, you don't need them anymore, why would I want to spend the capital cost for 5 or 7 years? Second, the Okado plant, when we got the bid and they finally came in, I was shocked. They're backing up their own unit. Even when they're going to do the hotspot, they got the 64 megawatts to back themselves up.
we wouldn't be buying.
So that's the reason why I like, listen, 8 and 9 have been good units for this island. You've done great. The problem is, in a very short period of time, the next 4 years, you're really not going to need them. And I would not want to spend capital costs to convert them now. Because if I'm going to spend whatever that number is, let's say your number, whatever your number is, if you're going to spend that and in 4 years you don't need it, no. If you're going to spend that and you'll use it for the next 20 years, yeah. But, why would we want to convert the plants over to ultra-low sulfur diesel?
But we have to.
No, that's what, no.
I mean, I thought the 20 million is a given. 15 to 20
No. What this is saying is, excuse me, Mr. Commissioner Sanchez, let me explain. What we're talking about here is if there's a decision to let 8 and 9 go, then we start talking to EPA and say, we're not going to convert them. And EPA says, fine, then you don't need to spend the money conversion. So,
that's what you're thinking too, right? Is the leverage with EPA to
yes.
say,
And
why spend this money?
Why spend this money when in 4 years?
Kissing it goodbye anyway.
Yeah, believe me, you did great job. Nobody. So that's why
you disagree.
Let me. I'm just trying to say. I think we've gone around a lot. We've listened carefully, and it's time for us to just say, okay, I think we know. I for one feel comfortable in knowing the data. I think Commissioner Sanchez has a good grasp already on the issues. Commissioner Chalco, you have any questions, or you're with it?
Yeah,
I think Commissioner Guthrie. Yes. So, John, I think we're ready for. We've heard. Okay, so this is an issue for decision. The chair is open to a motion.
Just a question. Sure. I never did hear 17. Or convinced for other reasons besides that. I want to make sure the cost proposal from Mr. Valenti is advocating. You've argued this off by, or I haven't seen your argument. Do you agree with that number?
Yeah, but at the end of the day,
Right.
it doesn't matter. It's immaterial because at the end of the day, those conversion costs is the fact that in 4 years you really don't need the unit. It's a
So
decision
that the
that
ongoing maintenance of,
Yeah.
if we were to keep the units, then it's important to know what is the cost.
yeah.
But if
but
you
it-
argue that we can save 20 million now by convincing EPA that we don't need to just give us a few more years, like we could
Yeah.
have built.
And I think
That's the basis of the argument I'm hearing from Mr. Benavente, that from a load point of view, terms articulated from an investment in 15 to 20 million for the conversion, that something we don't need. Mr. Benavente in picking who do you keep, who makes the team, and who doesn't make the team. Well,
Yeah.
whatever, but
Yeah.
it sounds like you're agreeing that it is
that's the bottom line.
to
The
not
ratepayer.
spend the 20 on the conversion, convince EPA that we'd rather not, and if they agree, then we would have to agree to retire C. If they don't agree, then we have a different conversation.
Okay.
right? But for now, I believe that's all he's asking the commission to.
Okay, so the chair will entertain a motion. Motion to approve the
Yes, Mr.
resolution?
Chairman, I move that we to authorizing
Okay, is there a second? Second?
And then just, Mr. Benavente, if for whatever reasons EPA insists version, then you would come back to the decision. But your decision is partially dependent. See, you can make a valid argument. Maybe even that's point of view, that if you'll allow us the time to finish, save 20 million, and the whole argument about 3 versus 17 goes away, we don't give 8 and 9.
The argument, and that's why.
And if we're denied, then we open, okay, if they say we don't care, please convert, we're going to have to then revisit.
That's why in the
Yeah, we're going to go.
There's a basis for it.
because
Yeah.
the tools.
And the
To
law,
negotiate.
and Gonzalo, the law has changed. We have to continue renewables. We had already wanted to go to 50 without that law, and now we have a law that says have to pursue phase 4. Want to eliminate phase, reduce need to do other bags so they can afford to lose. Have it down for. But now you understand? You understand where it came from?
Okay, so let's,
We're still going to be your partner for four
yeah,
plus
you may win the
years.
bid for Agrico. Anyway.
Well, and
Commissioners,
the
please.
renewables.
Yeah. So commissioners, any further, if there's no further discussion, I call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion 4, I vote, 1 excused. And that's it. Move to adjourn? Second? We're adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Reno, and thank you,
A
John.
good discussion, very good
It
discussion.
helped